Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So this is a quick video that's brought to you in association with ARC Dual Diagnosis Addiction Centers. My name is Ryan and I'm not a healthcare professional of any kind and I have no special qualifications. If you're on a journey of self-discovery, then I'm simply a peer and I have some experience under my belt and I'm on a mission to help people like me. So if you've completed a rehab program for drugs or alcohol and you've been introduced to an aftercare program or some sort of mutual self-help group like AA, NA, Smart Recovery, or if you're participating in the ARC My Rehab Cafe initiative, then you're off to a good start. The opposite of addiction is connection, as they say, and being part of a community of like-minded individuals who are working on themselves is going to be an important part of your journey. So you've likely been introduced to the concept of a sponsor or an accountability partner, and if you haven't, I'll give you a quick and simplified rundown. A sponsor is someone who has spent time in sobriety and who might be engaged in a program like a 12-step process or like the My Rehab Cafe process, and who can give a newbie guidance on their journey. There are a few characteristics that you'll want to identify first before making sure that your sponsor has the kind of competencies that make a good sponsor. I'm going to do a video that focuses on this, so please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out. For now, I want to talk about a specific red flag that you should really watch out for when choosing a sponsor. If you're taking any kind of psychiatric medication under the direction or supervision of your doctor and your sponsor tells you to come off your medication for whatever reason, you need to run a mile. During my own personal journey over the last 15 years, I've seen people from 12-step and other mutual self-help groups feel that they're in a position to dish out medical or other instruction that they really aren't qualified for. I've seen sponsors tell their sponsees to come off their psychiatric medication because their meds block the light of the spirit, or they've told them to come off their medication so they can better feel their step 4 process, or that antidepressants were an easier, softer way. I've seen people share their stories in self-help meetings and specifically say things like anyone on psychiatric medication isn't clean, or that they have no right to claim sobriety time, or they might veil their opinion about psych meds by specifically mentioning that they are clean from them. So this kind of thing is particularly manipulative, and I would go as far as to call it a form of gaslighting. I remember once sitting in a 12-step meeting many years ago with a very good friend of mine who had a very clear and obvious problem with severe depression. He was on antidepressants for this at the time, but I remember the speaker at the meeting particularly saying outright and without any shame or hesitation that anyone on psych meds may not consider themselves clean or sober. He said this in a matter-of-fact kind of way, as though he was in possession of some sort of truth that people who took psych meds weren't privy to. He didn't even bother to veil his opinion as something that was part of his experience. I remember being somewhat dismissive about what the speaker said because I'd heard it so many times, but I distinctly remember looking at my friend and hoping that he didn't take that nonsense seriously. My friend had his life in order as far as possible. He had friends, he was in a good relationship, he was clean and sober for a good number of years, he was pursuing a career that he was proud of, but his depression was always there and it was always overwhelming. A few years later, my friend took his own life. I was a witness to his journey and I know that he tried everything to help with his depression, but in the end he lost the battle. So I don't know if my friend was taking any medication or not at the time that he passed away, but I do know that people that say things like that speaker did are dangerous. Look, they might also be ignorant, but as Martin Luther King Jr. once noted, nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. So having worked in the mental health space for many years, I've seen firsthand at times that many people with substance abuse histories also have severe mental illness. One of the hallmarks of a person with schizophrenia, for example, is that they might actively avoid psychiatric medications given certain circumstances. This could be because they might be paranoid, which will cause them severe anxiety around trusting healthcare professionals and even the people that they love. Sometimes the only place that people with these kinds of dual diagnoses have to go are mutual self-help groups like AA or NA. Convincing a person like this that they need to come off their meds wouldn't take very much effort, and doing so could cause serious harm to them and potentially to those around them. So guys, I just need to make very clear that most 12-step organizations have official policies on this that specifically references that their members may not play doctor. I'll put a link to those references in the links on YouTube and in the comments on Facebook. It's usually a small minority of people in these mutual self-help communities that have such an anti-psychiatric stance and acts outside of the confines of official policy on the matter. They are, however, out there, and you should be very, very careful of people like this. You can usually spot them a mile away. They are the type that's overly zealous about their doctrine, but strangely enough, ignore the aspects of their literature that leans towards having an open mind towards mental health care professionals. They might be adept at quoting these references, but behind the scenes, they have an entirely different agenda. They're usually quite militant when it comes to the language that they use, which can sound very black or white and can be very convincing and even charming. If they've been clean or sober for a number of years, they could appear to be coming from a position of authority, but make no mistake, these individuals are generally not in a position to dish out medical advice. They are usually indoctrinated into some kind of weird religious or 12-step fundamentalism and have very unusual ideas about healthcare in general. If you take anything from this, I want you to please understand that these people are not doctors. Well, not usually. If your sponsor or anyone else from a mutual self-help group gives you medical advice, ask them if they're a doctor. If they are, they really shouldn't be dishing out medical advice at self-help meetings anyway. So people with histories that include the abuse of alcohol or substances may have experience with abusing psych meds or taking them inappropriately. They might even have advanced skills in perfectly customizing their highs and lows with meds that they obtain through dodgy and dishonest means. This doesn't mean that people with histories like this can't be appropriately treated by a medical professional with medication when necessary or when required. If they are honest, forthcoming and sincere in the desire to live a healthy and productive life without drugs or alcohol, there's no reason that they can't live a better quality of life where they might have mental health challenges and meds are needed. So anyone can set out to try and manipulate their doctor so they can get their hands on prescription drugs to get high. If you want your life to get better, then I'm pretty confident that you're going to tread carefully where psych meds are concerned. And the reality is that most people struggle with the idea of using psych meds to help with mental health challenges anyway.
And people, you hear everyone takes antidepressants, everyone's taking them. It's like no one takes those bloody things without serious consideration. Half the time I spend with my clients who are depressed is often the 2 years long attempt to get them to tentatively try an antidepressant, because they're so guilty that they're relying on an external crutch to sort out their lives that they can't even tolerate it. And you say, well, try this, man, maybe you won't cut your throat in the next month, because if you're dead, it's going to be hard to work with you. And so medical interventions, anything, if you're sick, you do what is necessary to get better, and you leave your pride behind if you have to. And that says nothing about the utility of the behavioral interventions. You want to hit the problem with everything you have at your disposal. But some antidepressants, especially for people whose lives are together and who are depressed, antidepressants can be absolutely miraculous.
And if you aren't interested in getting and keeping your life in order, then you've got a lot of work ahead of you if you want to maintain a lifestyle that includes abusing psych meds. It's not a sustainable way to live, and it will catch up with you. Always be open and honest with your doctor about your history, and get second and third opinions if you really want to be safe. Most medical professionals out there understand substance abuse, and that there are addict-safe medications that are devoid of the potential for abuse. It's 2022 and medicine and psychiatry has come a long way. Remember though that it's your responsibility to again be honest with your history and work with your doctor toward a healthy outcome. If you're on meds and you want to come off of them for whatever reason, always do it under the supervision of your doctor, and make sure you keep checking in with the doctor as regularly as he needs you to after you've come off your meds. Never self-medicate or adjust dosages up or down as you feel might be necessary without your doctor specifically giving you the go-ahead to do so. Guys, if you've got a dual diagnosis and one of the only resources that you have for connection are mutual self-help groups like AA or NA, please use those resources. They are not exclusive to people that aren't duly diagnosed or people that don't have to use psych meds. The only requirement for membership of those groups is a desire to stop using drugs or drinking alcohol. And if you guys want to join a group that isn't 12-step based but has other like-minded individuals on a journey of self-discovery too, please reach out to the contact details in the description of this video. We're building a community and a space that is safe and where you don't have to feel judged. If you guys have any questions about this topic, or if you want to arrange a Zoom call with me to talk about it, please reach out on my contact details in the links or in the description of this video. Guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video and for tuning into our channel. Please remember to subscribe, and we really do appreciate your support. Thanks guys.